Hey, I think we can say Bitcoin is officially the biggest and the largest. New all time high of 118,179. Ladies and gentlemen, this is truly historic. And now the rest of the market are starting to reap the benefits of this rally. We're starting to see significant price movement in some of our favorite altcoins. It's a great time to be in the space. And this episode is just going to emphasize that. We got a little news as well as a little conversation to have on today's show. Starting with the Ant Group is reportedly looking to add USDC to their entire infrastructure. Now, if you don't know about the Ant Group, ladies and gentlemen, they're responsible for Ant Financial, which is essentially the financial and technological backbone for China, next to Tencent. So if this story proves to be true and Circle is getting ready to be added into this ecosystem, this is really going to change the stablecoin landscape. And obviously, it will have major implications for some of the favorite networks that we hold. Now, additionally, another conversation we got to have here is the Trump family working with CZ behind the scenes. Longtime listeners and viewers of this channel know I have had my eye on Binance for years. Their infrastructure is too big. Their global presence, it's way too big. So anyone, especially a Trump-like figure that works with Binance in any capacity, I'm going to report on it because it will have an impact on this market. The details of this story, pretty freaking interesting, guys. And then we also have to touch on Trump's blue chip ETF. Crypto space was a bit shocked at the presence of crypto.com in this ETF. But you guys know we have researched crypto.com for years, and we know just how tied they are in with the US crypto space. And I believe part of that had a lot to do with their inclusion into the ETF. Also got some other details between the Trump family and crypto.com's leadership that you may be interested in as well that could have played a factor in this decision. Plus, guys, you know I could not let this headline pass my radar and not report on it. The Detroit Pistons have partnered with Up Top to launch new Pistons rewards program, and this will run on Avalanche, ladies and gentlemen. Man, I can't wait to share the details of that one with you. But if you're new, welcome. My name is Wade. You're listening to another edition of the DHN Crypto Podcast. Me, I've been in the space since 2019. I've researched a boatload of assets, but the main reason I run this show is to share all that knowledge with you. Now, if you want to support the channel, make sure you head over to biosite/DHN Crypto. You can take advantage of our educational resources, tools, and other links to platforms that'll help you navigate the crypto space. Don't worry, links to the bio site will be in the description under this video, under this episode, as well as the pinned comment. So let's jump into our first piece of conversation, guys. Circle getting involved with Ant Financial. Now, what I have here is a graphic of the Alibaba Group. The Alibaba Group has significant ties to Ant Financial. Ant Financial, along with Tencent, represent the financial and technology backbone for China. So, let me just preface this take by giving you all of the details. One day, reports indicated that USDC could potentially be used by Ant Financial. This was July 7th. Within a few hours, Chinese media outlets came out and began to deny it. But let's be honest here. How much of that is legit? Especially when you consider how centralized the nature is of businesses in China. They're not going to let anything out if they are planning to do so. And we also can't rule out the fact that Ant Financial in and of itself is big enough to create its own stablecoin. That was also mentioned a little bit earlier in the year where Kelvin Lee mentioned that stablecoins, not crypto, is something that they're interested in. That's not the first time I've heard leadership from the traditional space define it as that. They don't want to deal with the crypto side. They want to deal with the digital assets, the blockchain, the underlying technology. Really makes me wonder about removing the crypto name from DHN, but then I think that crypto, the term itself, is more of a social indicator. Nah, ain't gonna worry about it. What I'm more focused on, though, is the potential here. Because Ant Financial is no stranger to crypto. Take a listen, check out some of their banking partners: Standard Chartered, HSBC, JP Morgan, and Deutsche Bank. We already know them players, they've been all throughout crypto, especially JP Morgan. So if Ant Financial was really looking to get involved with blockchain, you can guarantee they got the technical expertise already. Already, right? Standard Charter, to that point, is a custodian for Paxos's stablecoins. They also are a custodian for the global dollar, which is primarily used in Singapore, which would fit into Ant Financial's market. If they don't go the circle route, okay, they could potentially go through Paxos because of the relationship with Standard Charter. And if they decide to go with a stablecoin that is in a market that they're already familiar with, that would imply the global dollar. And if that's the case, then that brings in the PayFi ecosystem. You guys remember the PayFi ecosystem? This is the ecosystem that at its core is supported by both Solana and the Stellar network. So, although nothing has been confirmed, nothing is concrete about this, it is something I'm keeping my eyes on, especially if we're having a macro level discussion around crypto. The players over in the East must not be ignored. Like I said, between Ant Financial, Tencent, and UnionPay, that is the backbone of the Chinese economy. And they've already experimented with digital currencies going all the way back to 2014. I try to bring this up anytime that I can. So if Circle is looking to get involved, or if Ant Financial is looking to get involved with the stablecoin market, they only have so many options, with the exception of building their own. And we've seen in the past where these legacy institutions go to build their own stablecoin, and what do they still need to do? Come on back to a public network to expand their user base. So either way, this is a win-win. If Ant is not looking to implement USDC Circle today, they won't have a choice tomorrow. That's the way I feel. In addition to that, guys, located in this graphic, there are a couple of other companies, and it lends to the centralized nature of the Chinese economy that I'm observing. China Media Capital. Okay. You guys know I explore various worlds of YouTube. Okay. I'll be exploring another one here very soon. Talk about that later. China Media Capital is a company that helped produce the film, an animated film called Nezha 2. This film is now the highest grossing animated film of all time. All time. They've been making animated films for almost 150 years now, ladies and gentlemen. And China came through with one movie and blew it all out of the water. So do not underestimate what comes out of China, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do not estimate it, and then underestimate them. And then here's one more piece I'm going to leave with you. The Universal Digital Payments Network. It's a software layer completely intended to connect traditional financial institutions with these blockchain networks. Of course, they don't want the crypto side. They don't want to get involved with memes and NFTs and crazy communities, but they will plug you in with the technology. This is something that they have seen as a necessity for about a decade now, because whenever we talk China, we have to talk BRICS. And when we talk BRICS, we have to discuss their motivations to get away from the SWIFT system. These stablecoins don't have barriers. They're not aligned with national payment systems. They can go anywhere they want. All the more reason why If they're not taking it now, they will definitely have to pick it up later. So let's jump forward, guys. Bring it back to the States a little bit. The RWA landscape has cracked $25 billion. And everybody is asking now, well, is it too late to get involved? What do I do? What asset do I get into? Well, I pulled from RWA.xyz over this week, and I'm going to share with you the data for individual sectors of the RWA market. As you can see, guys, RWA Global Market Overview, very healthy. Total RWA on-chain value up 7.4% over the last month. That's pretty amazing. And this is before the current price rally that we're seeing now. Total holders also up about 80%. So this is very healthy. Stablecoin value in RWAs, $243 billion. That's impressive, guys. So let's begin to dig into the individual areas of the RWA world. Now, we're not going to look into private credit because Ethereum dominates private credit. So if you're holding Ethereum, good for you, okay? You're leading the RWA space. But let's talk about some of the other assets that may be at better price points for you to really get a profit from. Looking at top net inflows, this is for U.S. Treasuries over the last 30 days, guys. This chart reveals some very interesting information. Primarily, why is there $65 million going out of the BIDL fund for BlackRock? To my understanding, I know these treasuries tend to work like stable coins. So there could be selling going on to make investments elsewhere or to support liquidity in other environments. I don't know it all, but I'm just giving you what I'm looking at on the surface. You go to the top of this chart, though, you see players like Wisdom Tree, Franklin Temp, Superstate, Ondo, who has been bringing in a lot of money in the last 30 days. Primarily, Wisdom Tree, 152 million. Benji, another 52 million. That's a little over $200 million in the last 30 days. And guess where all of that money is being stored and held and transacted? Stellar. Beautiful thing to see. I don't need Stellar to constantly be in the news. I just need them to constantly be on the data charts. You get what I'm saying? So I don't worry about my Stellar investment for that very reason. They're handling the work behind the scenes. They don't need all the paparazzi, the glitz, the glamour, and the attention. They're doing their job, and that's all they're worried about. So if you want to capitalize on the U.S. Treasury RWA movement at a reasonable price point, best option, according to the numbers, Stellar. Okay? If you are fortunate enough to make a move into Ethereum, by all means, grab you some before it get even higher. Ondo would be another play. That's one that I'm definitely considering adding to my portfolio after things die down, okay? Because I don't want to come off bearish here. But let's not get too excited about this rally, okay? New all-time highs. I know the biggest, the largest. But let's keep it chill, guys, okay? Spike, I saw Spiko. I see them working with Chainlink, 10 million in inflows last 30 days. So that would be another way to get exposure to it. So if you're talking US Treasuries, as it stands right now, the leaders would be Ethereum, Stellar, Ondo, and Link. That looks pretty good to me. Now, let's talk about another section of the RWA market. Commodities, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, things like that being tokenized on the blockchain. When we take a look at the major players involved, Paxos, we know of, Tether, we know a lot of, Comtech Gold, that is your XDC offering. They have sustained their value in the market. Love to see that. Oris, don't know that much about. Wisdom Tree Digital Holdings. There's Wisdom Tree again. There's Stellar again. And then you have VNX. So when you break that down by network, ain't that many. So I think this particular pocket of the RWA space is one we can get the most value from, because as you can see, there aren't that many incumbents. XDC, Stellar, Ethereum. 1 million to Stellar, 11 to XDC, 1.6 billion on Ethereum. But what we're dealing with here is the tokenization of hard assets. Once people get comfortable with the tokenization of soft assets, like your treasuries, private credit, what is the stocks, bonds, things of that nature, your soft assets, then the hard assets, that's when that will pick up momentum. And I'm pretty sure it won't just be these three by that time. Maybe less than 12 months. Maybe for the next cycle, that'll really be the thing. So when it comes to who's leading tokenized commodities, we got a nice little pocket of assets that we are very, very versed in. So much research on XDC, so much research on Stellar. Okay. Really going to have to start looking into Ethereum from an unbiased perspective. I know Ethereum gets a lot of heat, a lot of flack. I personally don't feel too comfortable investing in Vitalik because half the time I see him, he looks sickly. But that may be a personal thing. I don't want to, let's not get too deep into that. But nevertheless, if you're talking tokenized commodities, guys, those are your three. Now, another area of RWAs that has been very popular is tokenized stocks. And as you can see, not that many tokenized stocks as of yet. However, players like Kraken and gentleman we're going to hear from in just a few seconds, Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev, has been very vocal about tokenization on a mainstream level. But when it comes to the networks, guys, again, very small pocket of chains that are able to do this. Algo sits at the top, 285 million, followed by the XRP Ledger, edging out Solana. Shout out to ArchX. Excuse me. When you dig around RWA.xyz and you explore the XRP Ledger, you see that ArchX is putting in work. They are truly putting in work. And now we're sitting at $55 million on the ledger. The addition of the sidechain EVM smart contracts, that'll quadruple that number in no time, I promise you. Okay, Solana is gonna have to catch up. and here's another thing too. Take a look. Algorand and the ledger beating Ethereum when it comes to tokenized stocks, ladies and gentlemen. That's good to see. That's very good to see. So just to wrap this all up before we go to the clip with Robinhood CEO, some of the players in the RWA space at a reasonable price point, XRP, Stellar, XDC, Algo. You can even slide Chainlink and Solana in there, maybe even Avalanche. But as far as the core leaders, it's really just 5. Algo, XRP, Stellar, XDC, and Ethereum. Yeah. So is it too late to get in? Absolutely not. Because as Mr. Tenev is going to express in this clip, the mainstream is just now catching up. Take a listen.
And I mean, you mentioned, launching this in the US as well. Is there a specific, regulatory change that you need in order to get this done?
Well, for tokenization in the US, we do believe that the SEC has the authority to make it happen without legislation, which is interesting. And you probably saw last week, Chairman Atkins of the SEC gave an interview about tokenization. He called it a great innovation. Mm-hmm. And we agree with that. We think tokenization is perhaps the biggest innovation to come into capital markets in the past decade. So I think the US shouldn't be far behind. I think the opportunity is too large to ignore, not just for retail, but also institutional. And I think they're keen. They're having tokenization roundtables at the SEC, which we've been a part of. So
how quickly can we expect
hard
it?
to predict.
Yeah.
I think the challenge with the US is we already have something that works. We have the traditional financial system. It's maybe not 24/7, which tokenization would allow, but it's 24/5. There's a lot of stakeholders that we have to make sure feel good about the change. I mean, we haven't even fully moved off of mainframe in the US. So I think it could take time, but I'd like to see the door opening for tokenization rather quickly. And I actually think our event should help accelerate that. Now that you see real products that are useful to customers with this fundamental technology, I think there's going to be more and more pressure for, industry partners around the world to adopt the technology.
The thing that I love about RWAs is, unlike NFTs, some meme coins, and even some projects that just pop up out of nowhere, RWAs are proving to be the next great use case for blockchain, much like stablecoins are. RWA is about to get ready to do that same thing. First soft assets, then hard ones. So with that, coming up, guys, we're going to get into BNY Mellon and Ripple. What potential implications could this have for the RLUSD stablecoin? And then we're also going to jump into Trump's blue chip ETF and why in the world Crypto.com got added to it. Stay tuned. Hey guys, I got a quick message for you. Let's say you're looking to buy some crypto, like the ones mentioned in this video. Consider using our crypto exchange partner, Uphold. With Uphold, you get access to more than 200 crypto assets through its simple-to-use trading platform. Uphold has been around more than a decade, so it is a name you can trust. With over $2 billion in reserves and $44 billion in trading volume, I've yet to lose a trade on Uphold. To the more experienced investor out there, Uphold also has a line of precious metals and national currencies for more diversification. For me, I'm having fun using Uphold's baskets tool. Uphold lets us set aside a certain amount of money to invest in different sectors of crypto. With one click, you can diversify into the big three, meme coins, or the financial assets like Hedera, Stellar, and XDC. But listen, crypto assets are very volatile, and it is always best to manage your risk and do your own research before using any platform. I recommend Uphold because before I was an affiliate, I was and still am a user. So if you use the link below, it helps support the channel. I want to thank you in advance. Now let's get back to the video. Welcome back to DHN. So let's go to a clip. Brad Garlinghouse went on CNBC to talk about the BNY Mellon and RLUSD relationship.
Ripple announcing just moments ago that it's partnering with BNY for BNY to be its primary custodian for its stablecoin. Joining us first on CNBC, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. Wow, that's a nice shot, Brad. It suits you well. You're looking very even presidential almost.
Oh, don't start.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Good to be back on Squawk Box.
Am I trying to vote for no Brad?
You need a custodian for your stablecoin. Why BNY?
Well, look, I think as the crypto industry has emerged from kind of the last administration where the industry was being attacked, working with the most trusted, the most well-regulated, and even the best capitalized partners is a way to continue to build trust in this system. And stablecoins at their core, by their nature, it's a dollar backed with a dollar in deposits. BNY Mellon has, for a very long time been amongst the most trusted partners out there for as a custody bank. So we're really pleased. We think it's indicative of the shift of tide where we've had headwinds for this industry are now becoming tailwinds. And I think we're going to see a lot of growth.
I mean, all the way back to that.
So Ripple is now officially, publicly, no NDAs involved, tied in with the oldest bank in the United States of America. BNY Mellon recently celebrated its 240th anniversary. Next year, the United States celebrates its 250th birthday. Listen, when I got into the crypto space, they said this would happen. Let me know if you guys have seen this. It's a clip, it's a short edit by NFA crypto or an NFA something, right? But basically, it was a smash montage of all of the major top level banking partnerships that Ripple had, and clips of Brad saying several times, "We got the partners, we got the partners, we got the partners, trust me, we got the partners." This is one hell of a partner right here. This is one hell of a partner to have. But in all seriousness, what are the ramifications of this? Well, I think this marks the multi-chain era for RLUSD, because I believe I have it here. Yes, they will also be providing what they call transaction banking services to underpin RLUSD. Now, I had to read that statement a couple different times because I wanted to understand just exactly what their transaction banking services could be. So, y'all know me. When I got a question, I pick up my shovel, my helmet, and I go a digging. And I was able to find a clip from Davos of 2023 when BNY Mellon started to publicly speak out about their digital asset ambition, and their plans were revealed.
Are you ready to make a big bet on crypto in light of what we have seen with the spot Bitcoin ETFs?
Our focus has always been, Brian, on the digital asset ecosystem more broadly, tokenization. How can assets that maybe haven't been part of the financial system be brought into the financial system and be easier to transact, to move, to manage, to store, which is really the heart of our business. And so that's our primary focus in the tokenization digital asset space.
Tokenization. This is 2023, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think the hype had reached the level, had reached a fever pitch yet. But they're mentioning tokenization, and everything that we have learned since the start of 2025 about how important a stablecoin is to the tokenization business model. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, RLUSD is about to get ready to go multi-chain. Okay? Because, yes, another major player that BNY Mellon works with is none other than Circle. What's so interesting about this relationship is that when Circle chose BNY, a little bit after that, BlackRock came rolling in. So, it would be a day of celebration if we all woke up and seen a headline saying BlackRock offers custodial services to Ripple. Boy, do you know there would be parties in the streets for XRP holders if we ever saw that headline. But I think now that they have they're bumping shoulders, getting the rub from BNY Mellon, bigger players are going to follow. So there is obviously no arguing that now Ripple no longer has a barrier here in the United States. As far as most people are concerned, they're done with the SEC. So there's no longer a barrier. And now you have linked up with America's Bank. Okay, you're the first one. You were the first one here. You're America's Bank. Now you have linked up with America's Bank. Can't get no better than that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, like I said, it should not be any doubt. Now, I guess there is one question remaining. How much of this will trickle down to the XRP ledger? Well, we know from reading the RLUSD white paper that the stablecoin is issued on both the ledger and Ethereum. And I went to reread the white paper preparing for this segment, and something stood out to me. I can't recall the exact name of it, but on the XRP ledger, they have token issuance. They've been doing this for almost 10 years now. It came stock with the ledger. RLUSD makes use of the token issuance for the XRP ledger. On the other side, you have Ethereum. RLUSD on Ethereum makes use of a special form of smart contract. Now, I have only seen this smart contract in one other place. And I'm going to have to take you back a few years. 2022, CBDC Research here in the United States, a collaborative project between the Boston Federal Reserve and MIT. It's called Project Hamilton. They discovered a way to tweak Ethereum's code to create a smart contract without gas fees for the use of moving a digital dollar around. So, I think this is going to be a win for the ledger and Ethereum, regardless, because it will depend on what it's being used for. In the white paper, they go into explain that on the Ethereum side, the RLUSD stablecoin can be used in applications for DeFi, NFTs, all types of things. With the XRP ledger, the offering is a lot more privatized. It's more enterprise. So that way, instead of giving the stablecoin to the entire system, players on the XRP ledger that want to use RLUSD can essentially sign a contract to allocate a certain amount of RLUSD for a specific purpose. And whatever that purpose may be, they'll have an established trust line, just like Stellar, where all that RLUSD can be issued and redeemed from. So no matter which way you cut it, RLUSD benefits the XRP ledger through transactions, minting, redemption, and issuance. All channels, all operations on the ledger burn XRP. May not be a lot, but there's burning occurring there. And keep in mind, we're still in the foundational phase of blockchain. Now that all of these components are in place, expect that burn rate to increase. Now, on the Ethereum side, DeFi, apps, NFTs, games, okay? Let's not rule out gaming in relation to XRP or Ripple, all right? In the Ethereum environment, it's tailored for different things. When you look at all of the diverse range of applications that can be built on Ethereum, you can see all of the potential places RLUSD could end up. And then again, the ledger now has EVM compatibility, so the same story can apply on the ledger if they choose to do so. But on that note, they also have USDC that they can choose from. This is a wonderful time to be holding XRP. I will admit that. I know I had some feelings a couple months ago, but that was geared towards the community and players in it. When it comes to the ledger, though, I continue to be impressed. So let's move on to something that was a bit more impressive, ladies and gentlemen. How in the world did Crypto.com get involved with Donald Trump? Okay, I had to really dig into this one. Let me share the details with you. Pending SEC approval, Trump Media and Technology will launch the Blue Chip Crypto ETF. This ETF will include a 70% allocation to Bitcoin, 15% allocation to Ethereum, 8% to Solana, 5% to Crypto.com, and just 2% to XRP. Now, we'll get into the structure of that particular portfolio later, because I think that build is genius. But let's talk a little bit more about the relationship between Mr. Chris Marszalek on the right and our president, Donald Trump, okay? So, oh yeah, this is the holdings. Now, March of this year, Trump Media Group partners with Crypto.com to launch Made in America ETFs. These were ETFs that were centered around the US-based crypto assets. The ones, we were talking a lot about that leading into the election, into the inauguration. As a matter of fact, the moment he made it known he was running again, I began to tell you, watch out for US-based assets, okay? As well as foreign companies who have staked a claim here in the United States. That's where Crypto.com, that's the angle that they're taking to the end zone. So, in May, Crypto.com also established an office in Washington, D.C. with the whole intent on getting closer to the White House. The whole intent was to get closer to the White House, guys. And I think something else that played a factor is Donald Trump is a very big sports fan. To my knowledge, I just read a headline stating that he plans to hold a UFC fight at the White House. They're already planning the party for 250 next summer. Yeah, you can bet. It'll be sponsored in part by crypto.com. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. It's going to be sponsored. It's going to have heavy crypto sponsorship for 250. But they made the move to DC. They're partnering with Trump for the Made in America ETFs. Not to mention, folks, the Staples Center. All right? That was one of my most popular pieces of content. I wasn't even prepared in it. I didn't care if it was just naming rights or the building itself. In the annals of history, crypto.com bought the building. Okay? Yeah, I know. The specifics will say otherwise. Naming rights, deals, Staples falling under as a company. In the annals of history, people will remember that the building belongs to a crypto company. Right? Right. So, all of these non-financial related things played a factor here, in my case. And then, on the technical side, we also do have to talk about the instant finality that Kronos was able to achieve not too long ago. We also do have to talk about how Crypto.com made sure to position themselves around research efforts here in the United States. We know Crypto.com has a very strong relationship with Visa, as well as World Liberty Financial. I believe their USD1, Crypto.com, was one of the first platforms to list it. So the ties between Trump and Crypto.com run deep. But I want to add another layer to this conversation that I think is truly driving the Trump family. This is Donald Trump Jr. This is a quote from when he was at the Bitcoin conference earlier this year. I'll just read the top line to you because it's really the most powerful. The reason we got into crypto and we're all in on crypto and we're doing American Bitcoin and we have World Liberty Finance and USD1 was because there was a time where I could call any single banker in New York City. They'd pick up the phone and I'd be able to get a loan for whatever real estate project I was doing. Then once they got into politics, all of a sudden they wouldn't take your call. You couldn't get financing and we were debanked. A lot of folks in the crypto space, they cling to the ethos of decentralization, open borders, open source, open access. Yet them same people will push back on Trump's moves into crypto when his primary motivation is the reason the technology exists in the first place. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I can't find a flaw with this situation. And as a matter of fact, he is also teaching us something about investing. Okay? I would not be surprised to find out that Donald Trump probably has a couple people like me and you on his team doing digital asset research. True researchers who dig through the white papers. Got 15, 16 tabs open at a time. Yeah, Trump got one of those in his group. If it ain't him himself, probably ain't got a lot of time. But I'm just saying, Trump knows a lot more about this space than what he's letting on. Now let's take a look before we get out of here at the ETF holdings of this blue chip ETF, all right? First thing I want you to realize, that is not supposed to say 70%. Guys, just ignore that. But Bitcoin is sitting at 70%. Ethereum is 15%. Okay? Despite what my graphic may say, it's 15%. I messed that one up. Sol at 8, CRO at 5, XRP at 2%. This, if you're new to the crypto space, I want you to build your portfolio exactly like this. Okay? Do not listen to what anyone else says. Do not listen to anything that anybody tells you about how XRP is going to go to $6,000, because it's not going to happen in our lifetime. It won't. And I think by the time XRP breaks 4 figures, it won't matter. It won't. We will have already been rich by then. You know what I'm saying? But this portfolio build is genius, because Bitcoin, as the market leader, is the least volatile asset you can hold. We have proven this. We have tracked a portfolio since 2023 that has a list of alts in it as well as Bitcoin. We put a certain amount of money into these assets, and we have seen mathematically that over the span of this entire cycle since October of 2023, holding Bitcoin will make you profitable, period. So larger allocations to your safer assets, 70% into Bitcoin, 15% into Ethereum, Solana, 8%, cool. CRO and XRP. I think CRO got that extra 3% because of the relationship that is already being built. That makes a lot of sense. 2% into XRP. We are still in the era where people strongly associate XRP with Ripple. So they're basing XRP's future potential on what Ripple is doing. I think that is the situation we're dealing with here with that 2%, because we know what the potential could be, but it is contingent upon what Ripple does, which is not completely determined yet, even though they are now working with the largest bank in the United States, the oldest bank in the United States. Things may still not be certain, so you're playing it smartly. This is how I would build my portfolio if I was new to the space, guys. Truly. But coming up, guys, we're going to close out. Got a little bit more Trump discussion to have. Are they working with Binance? Some details have come out, ladies and gentlemen. And this is written in code that reveals the answer might be yes. Come on back. Hey, guys, I got a quick message for you. Let's say you're looking to buy some crypto, like the ones mentioned in this video. Consider using our crypto exchange partner, Uphold. With Uphold, you get access to more than 200 crypto assets through its simple-to-use trading platform. Uphold has been around more than a decade, so it is a name you can trust. With over $2 billion in reserves and $44 billion in trading volume, I've yet to lose a trade on Uphold. To the more experienced investor out there, Uphold also has a line of precious metals and national currencies for more diversification. For me, I'm having fun using Uphold's baskets tool. Uphold lets us set aside a certain amount of money to invest in different sectors of crypto. With one click, you can diversify into the big 3, meme coins, or the financial assets like Hedera, Stellar, and XDC. But listen, crypto assets are very volatile, and it is always best to manage your risk and do your own research before using any platform. I recommend Uphold because before I was an affiliate, I was and still am a user. So if you use the link below, it helps support the channel. I want to thank you in advance. Now let's get back to the video. I'm working on some more ads to squeeze in there. I know y'all tired of seeing Uphold, okay, but it's our biggest channel sponsor. They've been holding the brother down. What do you want me to do? Binance develops code for Trump-backed USD1 stablecoin before CZ's pardon bid. So yeah, Trump pardoned CZ. Interesting. But when you look at the punishment CZ got handed down for being accused of money laundering, assisting in terrorism, and various other financial crimes that we saw other guys get put away for 50, 60 years for, he got 4 months. He got 4 months and a $4 million fine after he posted on social media 4 months. 4. 4. Now, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but I do know that the human brain is capable of many, many things. And narrative management narrative building, another word that can be used here, propaganda. We humans are very good at that. Okay? But let's bring it all around. Crypto News has reported that Binance has allegedly wrote the code for Trump's USD1. The assistance came despite Binance founder Sheng-Jing Zhao's 2023 guilty plea for failing to maintain an effective anti-money laundering program and his subsequent public request for a presidential pardon. This came before all of that, right? After the guilty plea, before the pardon. They're also stating that the USD1 stablecoin pegged to the US dollar and backed by cash treasuries and repurchase agreements was pivotal in a high-profile deal when UAE-based investment firm MGX used it to purchase a stake in Binance. So what we have here is a stablecoin that has been designed by members of the Trump family being used by MGX, a UAE-based investment firm, to purchase a stake in Binance. What makes this so compelling, ladies and gentlemen, is not only that a few months ago, this was mainly speculation, and now we have confirmation. In addition to that, we know that the Trump family were allegedly looking to invest in Binance US arm. Since then, Trump, CZ, and Richard Tang, current CEO of Binance Global, the entire thing here, they have refuted the claims. But Mr. Tang, Richard Tang, slipped up where he said Binance US operates independently. Okay? Independently of Binance. So it wasn't that they completely denied that this was happening. They refuted it and separated themselves from it, because if it does happen, it really don't matter to them anyway, because Binance US is now run by the United States government. Okay? I'll show you how I know that in a second. But another key factor here is the fact that Binance making a push into the United States spells a lot of trouble for Coinbase. So I'm pretty sure there are players behind the scenes that are trying to manage everything to make sure that CZ just stays where he at. Just stays where he is. Because, couple things here. I know that they've come out and denied, rebutted against these claims. But you're going to have to do a little bit more than that to convince me. Because I haven't forgotten a former U.S. comptroller of currency in the name of Brian Brooks was appointed head of Binance US. I'll never forget that. I'll also never forget this here. Because before CZ was public enemy number one, okay? Before Binance was looked at as the anti-American platform, before they had to get it up out of here, Binance was sitting on the Digital Chamber of Commerce helping the United States come up with digital asset regulation in 2022. So when I see headlines like this, I'm not letting it slip by me, because I remember when Binance was just as recognized and respected here in the U.S. market as Coinbase. Then they discover something, because Binance at the same time was also very, very closely tied in with Russia. Not China, Russia. I am so, I don't want to say obsessed. Enthralled? Is that the right time to use this word? I've never used it before. I've seen it. I remember first seeing that word in high school. Never had an opportunity to use it, but I'm really pulled in by the CZ story. Because longtime listeners, viewers, you guys remember we took a deep dive into the ties that Binance, okay, the mafia ties that Binance has, and we found out their tentacles spread all over the place. Kazakhstan is running their CBDC, their stablecoin, on Binance. So I don't put it past. Well, I'll say it like this. I'm not letting it get past me, this story here, because it's being rebutted now. It's being denied now. But we've seen this before. 6 months from now, Binance US has a crazy marketing campaign for here in the United States. Binance US get the Super Bowl commercial. All of a sudden, Binance US has a new CEO, and he just so happens to work in the Trump administration. I bet you. I bet you. Mark my words. That's what we're going to see here. It'll be 6 months from now when everyone has forgotten, most likely when the market has pulled back. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. Because there are a lot of relationships that were established during the last bear cycle that are producing everything that we're seeing today. It all just takes time to unfold, ladies and gentlemen. It all just takes time to unfold. But now, let's close this story out, guys. Talk a little Web3, crypto, gaming. I package it all into one thing. Detroit Pistons partner with Uptop to launch new Pistons reward program in collaboration with Avalanche, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, it's time for me to admit it. I'm pulling the trigger. All right. DHN Sports, the podcast, it's here. I ain't posted nothing on the channel yet. Okay. I'm going to make it super local. Super local. So if you're listening and you're watching from Michigan, I'm about to get ready and get into Michigan sports. All right. And it's not even for a financial reason. I just enjoy it. Y'all know by now. Okay. Lions game all day. But it's more than just football for me. I grew up around sports. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for the world of sports, because I first picked up a video camera filming sports. First time I ever edited any footage was a volleyball game. Okay? First time I ever picked up a microphone. Guess what I was doing? It was a sports related interview for my middle school. PAL League in Detroit. This is like 03. No. 02. Okay? Sports runs deep. And what I simply want to do is translate all of the skills that I've learned here, apply them to the sports world. I'm not expecting anything crazy to come from it. I like talking crypto. I love making content. I like talking sports. Now I'm gonna try to make some content. And little do y'all know, this is like the 4th time I've done this. So you'll be surprised. Subscribe if you want to, man. If you in Michigan and you want to do some Michigan sports talk, rock with the kid, okay? But let's get deeper into this story. Up top, joined the Avalanche ecosystem in November of last year. And they're bringing a different angle to the fan token model, which I'll explain to you in detail. Don't worry. But back in November, when they joined the Avalanche ecosystem, they came in with the Cleveland Cavaliers, NBA team, made it pretty deep in the Eastern Conference. They were leading the Eastern Conference, if I'm not mistaken. Then got knocked out in the first round. Be like that. But Cavs Rewards, in partnership with Uptop, powered by Avalanche, it's a first of its kind fan engagement program designed to bring fans unforgettable rewards and connects businesses in Cleveland with the Cavs community. So this, like I said, changes the fan token model, flips it upside down. Before, you had a third-party platform that you couldn't verify was connected to the club, the team, the program, or the franchise, creating these fan tokens, selling them on shoddy and shady crypto exchanges. This was prior to Crypto.com, prior to Chiliz. Chiliz and Crypto.com redefined the fan token business model by giving fans a trusted place to transact these tokens and ensuring that the tokens actually came from the teams, the franchises, and the clubs that they were associated with. The platform that Up2 provides takes that to a whole nother level, because what we have with this, and we also have the co-founder, co-creator, he's going to give us more details on it in just a second. But unlike how it was before, where these tokens seem to have just appeared out of nowhere, the Cleveland Cavaliers had to go to up top, up front, and buy these tokens, buy a certain amount. So we can't call the exact amount, but let's say they bought 10 billion Cav tokens in which to be circulated on their fan engagement app. What this means is if you buy tickets to a Cavs game or a Pistons game through the app, you will get rewards in return. Think of it as cash back in the form of these tokens. Now, let's just say you rack it up over the course of a season and we got a home playoff game. You want to get tickets, right? They start running a special promotion. Fans who have accumulated enough Pistons tokens will get maybe 100% off, 75, 50% off your ticket price for the playoff game. That is what it will electrify this fan token model. Now let's go to the clip here. John Gomez, co-creator, he's going to share more details on not just the Cavs reward relationship, but how their platform is different. Let's take a listen.
So it's sponsor integrated, so that's the first KPI. Sponsors are actually buying points that we issue on behalf of the organization, and they can distribute them at their place of business. So that's number one. The sort of reason that fans are involved is they earn those points and they spend them on team IP or tickets. So we facilitated thousands of rewards through the platform in one season, including hundreds of tickets, courtside seats multiple times, away game trips that are fully kind of paid for by the program. So the positive economics there are good, but to Mark's point, where we started was not a lot of digital property, direct digital property that the rights holder had, and the program increased their reachable fans by 50% in one season. So that's pretty tremendous. A well kind of engineered program and sort of meeting the fan where they are digitally can have that sort of impact. I mean, Pet always talks about the Barca Spotify deal, right? Where there was a huge sponsorship that eventually did happen. But one of the biggest question marks around the deal was, how many enrolled users does FC Barcelona have, right? It was very few compared to, their following on social. And that's when you realize that an owned platform is the most valuable asset. And probably the clearest one to optimize LTV in the long term.
So, a couple years ago, when they held the draft in Detroit, they held the NFL draft in Detroit. You guys remember this? I remember telling you guys about an app that the NFL, or an extension to their NFL app that they introduced specifically for the draft. It was called the One app. And in the One app, they had digital rewards. Now, these weren't running on Avalanche or in collaboration with any third-party Web3 player like that, but the mechanisms were there. Fast forward, you have a few months, we get the report that other blockchain-based initiatives are getting ready to kick off in the city of Detroit. They are redesigning the riverfront, ladies and gentlemen. It will need an effective payment system. He mentioned how this also is an opportunity for the businesses surrounding the sports teams. I don't know how it's set up in your city, but in the city of Detroit, the Red Wings, the Tigers, the Lions, the Pistons, all play on the same block. Same block. Same block, ladies and gentlemen. The Wood, okay? Woodward Avenue. But in the city, we call it the Wood. But we all play on the same block. And there's a movie theater over there, multiple convenience stores, gas stations, parking structures, shops and boutiques. Let's just say the businesses in those areas partner with the team where you can take or earn, where you can spend or earn tokens at these participating locations. Like he said, this blows up the fan token economy to a completely new level. And one of the key performance indicators, like he mentioned, is the team owns the platform. Not an independent crypto company, some random website, but the team itself. And I think that was a barrier prior to this where teams wanted to own it themselves. But the other players back in the day, they wanted too much control. This isn't about you in your pocket. This is about the fans. And I have a mountain of respect for Mr. Gomez and the team up top for building this sort of fan token model. This is so much better. I'll wrap with this, folks, because recently, and I've experienced it too, okay? I've been to a few events in the last few months where I looked at my ticket price and I said, man, I could have bought some crypto. But you know, you pay for the experience. But the ticket prices, expensive ticket prices have become an issue, okay? Super Bowl prices for this year, north of $25,000. That's just to get in the building. NBA Finals, you talking another 10 or 20 grand. Just to get in the building. What else did we have? What else have we? WrestleMania 40. You talking about 40,000 to get in the building. So we're obviously going through something in the world of sports where things are changing, and the cost to be a fan is increasing. I like the new fan token model that Up2 is providing and building on Avalanche because it now allows the fan to not only save money, but it allows fans to become a lot more savvier. Let me break it down like this. We see points reward systems at the grocery store, gas stations, movie theaters, clothing stores, credit card companies offer it. Why not do it in the world of sports? Why not have cash back in the world of sports? Perfect analogy for you. As we were talking about earlier with the basketball teams, let's say you did spend 40 racks on a WrestleMania ticket and they had a certain reward system. And I hope you guys are listening, WWE, because I'm about to drop an idea on you that could make you even more money than the Netflix deal. But let's say you go to this WrestleMania show, you spend $40,000, but you get 80,000 in tokens back. Those 80,000 tokens, that is enough tokens to pay for tickets to non-pay-per-view or premium live events like your weekly programs, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, NXT, etc. You got enough tokens to pay for 3 months of shows. Now, was that 40 grand worth it? I'm just saying here. You adjust the numbers and the parameters, and I promise you, the next era of fan tokens are going to turn the sports world upside down. And again, now in college sports, student athletes are getting paid. That's bringing more money into the system. It's bringing more money into the system. That is why I am looking at assets like Chili's. I'm looking at assets like Avalanche and Crypto.com because they're the few who have been working in this particular area ever since. So, with that, guys, thank you for watching again today's show. Happy Friday to you. If you made it this far, drop DHN for me down in the comments so I know who's really rocking with me. Now, don't forget to check out the educational materials down in the description under this episode, as well as the pinned comment, starting with the DHN Crypto Starter Kit. I put together a dossier of resources for you to navigate the blockchain space. It's absolutely free of charge. This is my gift to you. On the other hand, I do have educational material that you can access at the bio site /DHN Crypto, linked under this video. DHN 100, top utility driven blockchain networks. It's a simple guide to show you where the utility is in blockchain, as well as Blockmaster. No investment decision should be made without fundamental knowledge of what you're investing in. That is why I put together Blockmaster. It's a simple document, simple piece of content that will expose you to the fundamental elements of blockchain, wallets, smart contracts, DeFi, tokenization, the list goes on. So with that, like I said, I want to thank you again. Don't forget about the material, and y'all know what time it is. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.